I agree with you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man.
Can I answer
Donald
that,
Trump.
though?
I want to move on to another
Can I
question.
answer your question about protecting?
You answered the question.
You're saying no. I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's the video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
Did you see her face when those photos went up? Did you see her shuffling those papers like she was searching for an answer that did not exist? Girls, stop. Stop pretending you're busy flipping through those empty papers, because everyone watching knows exactly what that was. Performance. Distraction. Anything to avoid looking Ted Lieu in the eye and answering why she shut down the Prince Andrew investigation when photographic evidence was staring her in the face. This is the Attorney General of the United States, the highest law enforcement officer in this country. And when a congressman put documented evidence of a crime directly in front of her, her response wasn't "the evidence is wrong" or "the witness is lying." It was "don't you ever accuse me of a crime." She didn't dispute the evidence, didn't defend her decision, didn't explain why over 1,000 documented sex trafficking victims have resulted in 0 prosecutions of clients. She got defensive and angry that someone dared to question her. That is not the response of an innocent person doing their job with integrity. That is the response of someone who knows exactly what's in those files and is terrified of what happens if anyone looks too closely. Over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, not one man held accountable. Let that sink in. Over 1,000 women and girls whose lives were destroyed. Over 1,000 victims whose names are in FBI files. And the Department of Justice under Pam Bondi has prosecuted exactly 0 clients. A witness called the FBI with explosive information. That witness was never interviewed, not interviewed and found not credible. Never interviewed. DOJ never even asked him to come in. A woman told this witness she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. That woman later had her head blown off in what officers determined could not have been suicide. DOJ response? Nothing. No interview, no follow-up, no investigation. And when confronted with all this, photographs, witness statements, suspicious death, 1,000 victims, 0 prosecutions, Pam Bondi pointed fingers at Merrick Garland, Bill Barr, Alex Acosta. Blame everyone who came before. You know what that's called? Telling on yourself. When your only defense is other people also failed, you're not defending yourself. You're admitting you're failing too. But that's not how justice works. That's not how the Attorney General should work. Let's break down exactly what just happened and why those empty papers Bondi was shuffling reveal everything about this Department of Justice. Ted Lieu came with evidence, photographs, witness statements, DOJ memos. He built his case step by step, creating a trap with no escape. Prince Andrew, 2 photos at Epstein parties, young woman's face redacted. You redacted this victim's face following congressional law, correct? Bondi, yes, you have now established we are looking at a sex trafficking victim, confirmed on record, not allegedly, a victim whose face must be redacted under federal law. Then the legal framework. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, anyone who patronizes Epstein's operation is guilty of a crime, not just Epstein, every client. So, photos of Prince Andrew at Epstein parties with confirmed victim. Federal law criminalizes patronizing the operation. Last July, you closed the case. Your July 2025 memo stated, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These photos are evidence of a crime. DOJ claimed no evidence while photographs sit in their files. Why did you shut down this investigation? Why have you not prosecuted Prince Andrew? Bondi's answer? I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions. Deflection. Lieu destroyed it. Garland dropped the ball, as did Barr, as did Acosta. But you are in charge. You have the power to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. Then Lieu moved to Trump. Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. Were there any underage girls at that party or at any party Trump attended with Epstein? Same structure, same framework, same photographic evidence. Bondi's response, this is ridiculous, deflecting from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence Donald Trump committed a crime. This has been the most transparent presidency. Notice what she didn't say. No, there were no underage girls. She defended Trump's presidency, but didn't answer whether underage girls were present. Textbook non-denial denial. She denied what Lieu didn't ask while avoiding what he did ask. Lieu, you said there's no evidence. I'm putting up a witness statement because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in Epstein files. Bondi exploded. Don't you ever accuse me of a crime. You just lied under oath. Lieu had receipts. This is on videotape. You said no evidence. I'm showing a witness statement who called FBI's Threat Operations Center. The witness, a limo driver who drove Trump, overheard Trump-Epstein phone conversations, was so angry he wanted to stop and confront Trump, met a woman who said she was raped by Trump and Epstein. That woman later had her head blown off. Officers said it couldn't be suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. Not interviewed, but not credible. Not investigated, but unfounded. No one interviewed him. That's not negligence, that's active avoidance. Interviewing creates official records, requires follow-up, opens investigation threads. By never interviewing, DOJ claims no evidence while refusing to collect evidence being offered. Then Lieu's knockout. Epstein should rot in hell. So should the men who patronize his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign. 1,000 victims, 0 men prosecuted, 0 arrests, 0 critical witness interviews. The Attorney General responsible for enforcing sex trafficking law has a record of 1,000 victims and 0 client prosecutions. The photographs are real, witness statements are real. July memo closing investigations is real. Absence of prosecutions is real. Uninterviewed witness is real. Her response, deflection, defensiveness, anger, no contradictory evidence. That paper shuffling everyone noticed, she's not reading those papers, not referencing documents, just moving them around, looking busy. That's a tell. Psychologists call it displacement activity, a physical action serving no purpose but providing relief from psychological stress. The Attorney General was doing classic displacement behavior while confronted with sex trafficking evidence she chose not to investigate. Think about what that means. The woman responsible for enforcing federal law against trafficking has documented evidence of over 1,000 victims, photographs of powerful men with confirmed victims, witness statements about rape and suspicious deaths. And when asked why she closed investigations, her hands shuffle papers while her voice gets defensive. That's not confidence. That's not someone who made a justifiable decision. That's someone who can't defend their actions and is buying time to dodge the question. And when that dodge doesn't work, when Lieu won't let her deflect, she explodes with emotion instead of facts. Don't you ever accuse me of a crime? That anger is revealing. When someone's primary response to evidence is not, here's why you're wrong, but how dare you accuse me, they can't refute the evidence. They can only attack the person presenting it. Innocent people with facts present those facts. They explain their reasoning. They might express frustration at being misunderstood, but they don't get angry at being questioned because they have answers. Bondi didn't have answers. She had anger instead. About that question Lieu asked about Trump and underage girls, this deserves attention because of how carefully Bondi constructed her non-answer. Lieu asked specifically, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein? Notice the precision. He's not asking if Trump committed a crime. He's asking a simple factual question. Were underage girls present at parties Trump attended with Epstein? That's easy to answer if the answer is no. You just say no, one word. Bondi didn't say no. Instead, this is ridiculous, deflecting from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence Donald Trump committed a crime. This has been the most transparent presidency. She defended Trump's accomplishments, claimed transparency, stated no evidence of crime, but didn't answer whether underage girls were present. That's a non-denial denial. Deny something related but different from what was actually asked. Gives appearance of denial without technically lying, because you can attend a party where underage girls are present without committing a crime against them. But if you're repeatedly attending parties hosted by a known sex trafficker where underage victims are present, that raises serious questions deserving investigation. Bondi's refusal to simply say no, there were no underage girls while defending Trump on other grounds suggests strongly that the answer is yes. There were underage girls at those parties. Otherwise, why not just say no? Why construct elaborate defense instead of answering the straightforward question? Because if she says no and evidence shows underage girls were present, she's committed perjury. But if she talks around the question, she maintains plausible deniability. The limo driver witness deserves special focus because if that witness statement is accurate and sitting in FBI files, the implications are absolutely staggering. Think about what Lieu described. A limo driver who drove Donald Trump around, not someone with third-hand information or rumors, an actual driver who was physically present, who heard conversations directly, who met people involved firsthand. This driver overheard Trump talking to Epstein on his cell phone, and whatever he heard in that conversation was so disturbing, so upsetting, that this professional driver, someone whose job literally depends on maintaining composure and discretion, wanted to stop the car and physically confront the President of the United States. Let that sink in. What could he have heard that would make someone willing to risk their job, their safety, their freedom to physically confront someone as powerful as Trump? What kind of conversation creates that level of moral outrage in a witness? And it gets worse. This same driver met a woman, Lieu called her a girl, who told him directly that she had been raped by both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Not "I heard someone was raped," not "I think something happened." A direct statement from a victim to a witness: "I was raped by these two men." That's firsthand testimony from a victim to a witness who then reported it to the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. That's exactly the kind of evidence that should trigger an immediate and thorough investigation. But the story doesn't end there. That woman, the one who told the driver she had been raped by Trump and Epstein, later died. And not in some ambiguous way that could be explained as accident or natural causes. She had her head blown off. And when officers arrived at the scene, they determined it could not have been suicide. Not "we're not sure," not "it's suspicious but we can't prove anything." Officers at the scene looked at the evidence and concluded this could not have been a self-inflicted death. So we have a victim who makes a direct allegation of rape against Trump and Epstein. That victim then dies in what officers rule as homicide, not suicide. And a witness with knowledge of both the allegation and the circumstances of the death contacts the FBI to report what he knows. And according to Ted Lieu, speaking under oath in a congressional hearing, no one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. That's not an oversight. That's not a mistake. That's not "we're too busy" or "we haven't gotten to it yet." That's deliberate avoidance. Because interviewing that witness would create an official record. It would establish a timeline. It would require follow-up investigation. It would demand that prosecutors look into the allegations, investigate the death, determine if there's prosecutable evidence. By never interviewing the witness, DOJ can technically claim "we haven't found evidence" while actively refusing to collect the evidence that's being handed to them. It's the law enforcement equivalent of plugging your ears and saying "I can't hear you" while someone is trying to report a crime. When Lieu said "you lied under oath" because Bondi claimed no evidence while evidence exists in FBI files DOJ refuses to investigate, her response wasn't facts or explanation, just emotion. "Don't you ever accuse me of a crime." But Lieu accused her of perjury, presenting a specific contradiction between her sworn testimony and documented evidence. She couldn't explain the contradiction, so she got angry. This isn't happening in isolation. While DOJ arrests journalists, while grand juries reject prosecutions of Trump's enemies, while judges dismiss DOJ cases for lack of evidence, evidence of potential crimes involving the president exists, and DOJ actively avoids investigating it. Pattern, not of law enforcement, of protection. The 1,000 victims deserve better. They deserve an attorney general who investigates abusers, interviews witnesses, presents evidence to grand juries, seeks justice. Instead, an attorney general who closes investigations, refuses critical witness interviews, and explodes defensively when questioned. Pam Bondi isn't functioning as the Attorney General of the American people. Based on what we just watched, the deflections, the non-answers, the paper shuffling, the defensive anger, she appears to operate as Donald Trump's personal legal shield in a government position. Ted Lieu proved it on camera. He entered evidence into congressional record. Photos of Prince Andrew with victims, witness statements about Trump Epstein, DOJ memos closing investigations, testimony about uninterviewed witnesses. That evidence is now permanent congressional record. It can be subpoenaed, investigated by other committees, used for additional oversight. And if Bondi keeps refusing to address it, the pressure will build. Because eventually, I won't talk about evidence, I'll talk about how great Trump is. Stops working when you're the Attorney General confronted with 1,000 victims and 0 prosecutions. Those papers she was shuffling were empty. So was every answer she gave. Subscribe because congressional oversight is accelerating and Bondi's non-answers created more questions than they resolved. Share this because the Attorney General just got caught refusing to explain why she closed Epstein investigations while evidence sits in FBI files. Thanks for watching.